Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Nandini Kishore. Mataji, very nice point. Yes, in spiritual world, it is in Shuddha Sattva, and this place is in Sattva Gun, which is also binding. So you get pious credits by not having the vices, but as long as you don't have bhakti, you're going to come back to cycle around in the material world. So can we start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I started.
Okay. So we'll start reading then. So today we have to start from verse 23. So I'll start then. Tam deva dhanim sa varuti nipatir bahi samantad rarude pratanyaye acharya ratam jalajam mahaswanam dadmau prayanjan bayam indrayoshitam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bali Mahārāj, who was the commander of numberless soldiers, gathered his soldiers outside this abode of Indra and attacked from all directions. He sounded the conch shell given him by his spiritual master Sukracharya, thus creating a fearful situation for the women protected by Indra. So the verse is pretty explanatory, and it tells us about the power of Bali Mahārāj. When he came, he had numerous soldiers, and he was blowing the conch shell, which reminds us about Bhagavad Gita when Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna blew their conch shells. Everybody in the Kaurava side were afraid, because it's a sound of victory, because whichever side Kṛṣṇa is will win. So similarly here, Bali Mahārāj is blowing his conch shell, and the women who are protected by Indra are getting afraid of the situation. I also found this picture. I think this is in our book also, book version. So we can see how Bali Mahārāj is ready for the war with his conch shell that Shukracharya gave. And we also read in the previous verses how he got an armor. He got unlimited arrow full of quivers, and and the chariot with these horses, and his army, like it said, from all direction they have come to Indraloka to attack. So and it seems everything is well arranged, and he has all the blessings of his spiritual master to come here. Anybody like to add or correct on this verse? Any comments?
So, Prabhu, Nanda, again. One, I feel that it's very important to state that they were fearful because Bali Mahārāj has served his spiritual master so well. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. It's very nice. So whoever has the blessing of the spiritual master and who's on the side of righteousness gives fear to the opposite party. So thank you, Mataji. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
The live streaming has started, but the title is still showing the glories of Lord Nityananda, the previous class. Can we?
Yeah, I think that Shubhilas Prabhuji can edit later the YouTube. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. All right. Going to the next verse. Anybody in a position to read? Mataji.
Yeah, I can read.
Okay. I think Sampada Mataji had raised her hand. So,
Yeah, I did.
okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Shall I read?
Next one, Raghu Prabhuji. Yes.
Maghavam stam abhipretya balehe paramam udyamam sarvadeva ganopito garum etat uvachaha. Translation: Seeing Bali Maharaj indefatigable endeavor and understanding his motive, King Indra along with the other demigods approached his spiritual master Brihaspati and spoke as follows. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Anybody like to add any points? It is very self-explanatory. So earlier we know how Indra was very powerful in the previous war when he kind of even put a thunderbolt on Bali Maharaj. He was fighting so fiercely and confidently, but now even he's afraid before fighting. Seeing the way Bali Maharaj has now arranged his army and come. So it just says how if we are well prepared, even Indra cannot fight that person.
Chambasur.
Yes. Yes. Kashish Mataji, sorry, Raghu Prabhuji, would you like to read next?
Yeah, thank you. I can read. Yeah. Hare Krishna devotees. Bhagavan Udyamo Bhuyan Palerna Purva Vaidnaha Avishyam Imam Manye Kenachit Tejas Srojitaha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, our old enemy Bali Maharaj now has new enthusiasm, and he has obtained such astonishing power that we think that perhaps we cannot resist his prowess. So here Indra is talking to his spiritual master, and he's concerned because Bali Maharaj is approaching with the newfound vigor that he's got the blessing of his own spiritual master, and he's transformed and is fully invigorated in a way, and he's ready to attack. So Indra is rightfully concerned and is expressing that to his spiritual master. Back to you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Raghu Prabhuji. Very nicely explained. Yeah, and he got the blessings of his spiritual master, Shukracharya, and also the descendants of Brahmanas. He had served well, the descendants of Bhrigu. And we also know a great devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, who is his grandfather, was also there to bless him. And he gave him that garland. So when a devotee is backing you, then all power to you. Anybody has any comments or additions, corrections? Okay, let's move on.
Moksha Mataji and
Yes.
Baswati Mataji also raised their hand.
Yes, Moksha Mataji, please, if you'd like to lead us by reading.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam to all devotees. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text number 26. Nainam kaschit kuto vapi pratiyodhum adi savarah piban iva mukhi nedam lihan iva dasho dasha dahan iva disho drigviha samvaritnai ivotita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
No one anywhere can counteract this military arrangement of Bali's. It now appears that Bali is trying to drink up the entire universe with his mouth, lick up the 10 directions with his tongue, and raise the fire in every direction with his eyes. Indeed, he was arisen like an annihilating fire known as Samavartaka. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, would you like to tell us what you understood or any points you'd like to mention?
Prabhuji, I only understood the literally meaning as I'm not that much intelligent, so I will hand it
Mataji.
over to you the explanation.
Mataji, you can tell us something about Samvartaka, if you remember. Leela.
Prabhuji, it is saying that Samvartaka is the fire that is, I guess, powerful.
Oh, yeah.
As
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. So, sorry, I was thinking that you'll connect this Samvartaka with, there was another Samvartaka cloud. Here it's saying it is the fire. Like at the end of one kalpa, when there is annihilation, it is said that the clouds called Samvartaka come and they pour pillars of rain, and that's what was raining on Govardhan and Vrindavan for Govardhan Leela. So here it says it's compared to the Samvartaka fire. So I guess the proportion is the same. It is the destruction at the end of the material universe, at the end of Kalpa, and before Brahma creates again. And when that fire of annihilation is being compared to Bali Mahārāj's power with his military might and himself having all the power of his spiritual master. And we also know he did the big yagya called Vishwajit Yagya, that he can become the leader of the universe, and that yagya is giving him the benefit of spreading fear and able to take over the entire universe with his power. Okay. Anybody else would like to add anything on this verse?
It says one thing here about raising fire in every direction with his eyes. That I think is quite amazing.
Yeah. So I know for sure that with my kids, all I have to do is if I look at them very seriously, they understand that they have to do something. So if simple father child can have the eyes can have so much effect. So somebody so powerful like Bali Mahārāj, his look itself was spreading fire in every direction. It's what I understand, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's almost like a lens which is getting focused.
Yeah, very, very nice comparison. All right, we'll go to the next verse. All small verses. So I see Baswati Mataji has raised her hand. Mataji, if you'd like to go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
27. Bruhi karanam etasya durdharsadvasya madripoho ojaha saho balam tejo yata yatat tamuddayamaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Kindly inform me, what is the cause for Bali Mahāraja's strength, endeavor, influence, and victory? How has he become so enthusiastic? So here in this verse, Parikshit Mahārāj is very curious to ask Shukadev Goswami inquiring like why Bali Maharaj's strength is, what is the cause of his strength, and because Bali Maharaja with this Vishwajit Yagna, he got chariots, horse, quivers, lot of and because of that, I think Bali Maharaj is very strong and very powerful, became very powerful, and his confidence is also very high because of that. That's what the translation says.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Just one small thing. This still it is Indra speaking to Brahaspati, his
Oh,
spiritual
sorry.
master. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for
Yeah.
correction.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not qualified to correct Mataji, so I'm just pointing what I understood. But yeah, of course, this conversation is happening between different levels of conversations, right? So you're also correct, but in this context, I think it is Indra being afraid, seeing Bali Maharaj, he ran to his spiritual master and he's asking, why is he being very, very powerful and enthusiastic, full of confidence, looking like he's going to win.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else would like to add or correct? Okay, moving on to our next. Okay, Umesh Prabhuji has raised his hand.
Yes, Prabhu.
I'd like to please.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Text number 28. Sri Guru Uvacha Janami Maghavana Chataror Antarar Asya Karanam Shishya Yopa Bhrutam Tejo Bhruguvir Brahma Vidhi Bhi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Brahaspati, the spiritual master of the demigod, said, O Indra, I know the cause of your enemies becoming so powerful. The Brahmana, descendants of Bhrigu Muni, being pleased by Bali Maharaja, their disciple, endowed him with such an extraordinary power. Purport. Brahaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, informed Indra, ordinarily, Bali and his forces could not achieve such a strength, but it appears that the Brahmana descendant of Bhrigu Muni, being pleased with the Bali Maharaja, endowed them with his spiritual power. In other words, Brahaspati informed Indra that Bali Maharaja's prowess was not his own, but that of his exalted Guru Shukracharya. We sing in our daily prayer, Yasya prasadat bhagvat prasado, Yasya prasada na gati. By the pleasure of the spiritual master, one can get extraordinary power, especially in spiritual advancement. The blessing of the spiritual master are more powerful than one's personal endeavor for such advancement. Narottama Dasa Thakura therefore says, Guru Mukha Padne Vakya Chitte Te Kariya Ekya Ar Na Kariha Mane Asha. Especially for spiritual advancement, one should carry out the bona fide order of the spiritual master. By the Parampara system, one can thus be endowed with the original spiritual power coming from the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajar Siyo Vidhu. So here we saw that when Indra put the question to his spiritual master regarding Bali Maharaj's the powerful act, and he almost scared, went his guru and asked the question. And replying to his question, Brahaspati the spiritual master of demigods is telling the reason why he is powerful, because he's powerful because he got a blessing from the Brahmana descendant of Bhrigu Muni. Also, he got a blessing from the spiritual master Shukracharya. And just now you, Prabhu, mentioned, and Nandini Mataji also mentioned, that he served very well to these Brahmanas. And as you also said, that once you have a blessing from the spiritual master, then nothing can beat you, because that power will be behind you. And that's what looks like the Brihaspati is telling the Indra, that the reason behind his extraordinary act in this field. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Umesh Prabhuji. Very nicely explained all the points so well. We know what the power of the blessings of spiritual master is. Can anybody say one example from our parampara?
Prabhuji, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Mahārāj's blessings was there on Srila Prabhupada.
Very nice. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj had blessed Prabhupada and given him his instructions that he has to preach to the English-speaking world. And since Prabhupada was going on that mission, he had all the blessings of the parampara and his spiritual master. And who could even imagine at the age of 70 coming all the way in a ship to America with 40 rupees and then creating a whole empire all over the world, this Krishna consciousness movement. So anybody else has any comparisons or anything to add to this verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. As Prabhupada ji explained here, the power of the spiritual master, we can see the similar power of Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Because of his power and his extraordinary blessing to Arjuna, he was able to do all those things. So the best spiritual master example we can see like Lord Krishna. And Shukracharya's power also here, Bali Mahārāj are getting from the Brahmana and Rishi Munis. So I can see that like Lord Krishna is the spiritual master of Arjuna, and he just destroy all those things with the help of Shri Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Kirti Mataji, very wonderful point. Bhagavad Gita is all about surrendering to Krishna, and when Arjuna did that, he had the power to win the war of Kurukshetra. Very nice example. Anything else we need to discuss? Any other examples?
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandaprana. Prabhuji, yeah, Mataji and both Mataji is a wonderful example. So even Narada Muni, also gave, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, even Mrigari, Mrigari was so fallen, and Valmiki was also fallen. And Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj in such a young age, they gained a lot of knowledge and complete surrender onto their guru and took their shelter. Even though Narada Muni initially said, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, you are very small, go back. But he was, because of the mercy of Narada Muni, he was able to get mercy of Lord Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very nice point, Sudhir. Prabhuji, we know that Narada Muni is a great guru. He has different range of disciples, starting with Vyasadeva, who wrote all the Vedas, and he's actually the literary incarnation of Krishna. and he got instructions from Narada Muni to write this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So all the power Vyasadeva got from Narada Muni. And then on the other end, he even instructs Mrigari or Ratnakar, who becomes Valmiki, who are just in the forest being dacoits, etc. So Narada Muni has that wonderful ability to have different devotees at different levels and converting them to stalwart devotees. So very nice point, Sudhir Prabhuji. Thank you very much for sharing. Any other points anybody like to bring up on Guru empowering disciple?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Like in this scenario, we are seeing that Bruhaspati is talking to Indra. He is also a spiritual master, and he's giving the example to the Indra that with the power of the Shukracharya, Bali is getting powerful. So both are the spiritual master. Indra was on the good side, Bali was a demon. So how the spiritual master extend his energy of Bali Maharaja even though he was a demon?
So again, this whole conversation happened with Yudhishthira Maharaj asking Narada Muni, is the Lord biased? Doesn't matter if a person a demon or a deva or a demon, as long as they are surrendered to the Lord. We went through all those pastimes of Vritrasura and Chitraketu Maharaj, and they being born in, and the biggest example is Prahlad Maharaj. He is considered to be the very exalted devotee, and Narasimhadev, he came just for saving Prahlad Maharaj. And you can argue that Prahlad Maharaj is a demon, born in a demoniac family, but still he is a very, very exalted devotee. So it's not by birth, but we know that Bali Maharaj, in the previous chapters, we know how he was involved in slightly tamogun kind of activities, right? Fighting for the head of the snake and so many such activities, and then Mohini Murti coming, and then the demons fighting with each other. Bali Maharaj was there all at that time, but we know that Sukadeva Goswami takes very good care of not mentioning Bali Maharaj in those situations. So it does not. What this, you're right, Mataji, but what it teaches us is it doesn't matter what situation, what birth, or what work we do. If we are a devotee of the Lord, then the power of serving Vaishnavas and Brahmins, that cannot be stopped by any other situation. That takes higher precedent. And we know that Bali Maharaj, he served the Brahmins well, and Bhrigumuni is a highly exalted Acharya, and Shukracharya, we'll see later. But whatever he is doing so far was in accordance with Dharma. So, and since he was able to follow what his spiritual master was telling him with great surrender and following all the rules of the Vishwadit Yajna and all that, he got a lot of power now, Bali Maharaj. And we know Indra, on the other hand, you mentioned, Mataji, Indra and Brahaspati. We learned before how Indra, though he is in Sattva Guna, he has some karma mishra also, right? So there were instances when he was looking at the dancers and not giving attention to Brahaspati when he walked in. So he lost all his opulences then. So we haven't seen so far the surrender that Bali Maharaj is showing to his spiritual master that Indra has shown to his spiritual master. So definitely here, since Bali Maharaj has redeemed himself and come after a lot of austerity and following all the principles, it shows that even if you're a demon, if you fix your ways and if you come to the path of bhakti, you will be more powerful than even Indra. That's my understanding, Mataji. Anybody higher, senior Vaishnavas on the call, if you'd like to add or correct this question. Very nice question, Mataji.
Yes,
Thank you,
Kṛṣṇa.
Prabhu.
So one thing we can remember, that the whole thing started because Indra committed an offense to his guru. And the most important part is, yes, Bali Mahārāja did so many things for his guru, but there's no mention of Indra doing many austerities to please his guru that he had displeased. But spiritual master, he remains neutral. He still keeps on giving his disciple instructions, good instructions, based on time, place, and circumstances. We also see this example in case of Lord Balram. He never gives up on Dushasana. He also teaches Dushasana. So the guru is shown very balanced, in no matter what, how disciple is serving. And Indra, he did commit an offense, then he fought, then he won. And we also see that, he's just going with the flow. Is that,
Yes.
does that
Thanks,
add
ma'am.
Mataji, okay?
Yes,
Sorry.
Mataji. Means I understand that Indra was like a king and he had the false ego. He was puffed up that, oh, I am Indra. So he did not respect his spiritual master. But in the case of Bali Mahāraja, he was humble and dedicated to his spiritual master. So I think that was the difference. Thank you, Mataji
Yes,
and Prabhuji.
Yeah, very
And also,
nice.
we also, like, many times we hear that holy name is so powerful, it can destroy all the sins, Now, he's not chanting holy names, but we must remember that it doesn't, Krishna's name is so powerful, and also the service to Brahmanas is so powerful that we can overcome so many things with service to Brahmanas and other devotees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. A very nice discussion, Mataji. Thank you for asking the question. Anybody else would like to add any points?
Prabhuji, can I say what Guru
Yes.
example one? Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami, when they were working with the Mohammedan king, and then they escaped, and that 500 years ago there was no car or anything, I don't know, but maybe they just walk and to meet Lord Chaitanya, and they left everything. That is the very good example, Prabhuji. And they're one of the 6 Goswamis, like Srila Sanatan Goswami, and he find out the Radha Kunda, Sham Kunda in Vrindavan with the instructions of Lord Sri Chaitanya there.
Yes, very nice point, Mataji, showing the power of a disciple coming from the parampara and the spiritual master, and in this case, none other than the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice example. Anybody else would like to add any points? I think this is a good verse to discuss.
મૂકવાનું છે શાકભાજીની પછી શાકભાજીની બધું અંદર મૂકવાનું છે પછી એ તો લંઘાઈ જાય પછી
So, Vijay Mataji, we can hear you. So would you like to read the next verse in a position to read?
Okay, Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, thank you very much.
Verse 29. ओजस्विनं बलिं जेतुं न समर्थो अस्ति कश्चन भवद्विधो भवान् वापि वर्जयत्वे ईश्वरं हरिं विजेष्यति न कोप्येनं ब्रह्मतेजः समेधितं नास्य शक्तः पुरः स्थातुं कृतान्तस्य यथा जनाः.
Mataji, would you like to read the translation?
Yeah, I can read. Neither you nor you men can conquer the most powerful Bali. Indeed, no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can conquer him, for he is now equipped with the supreme spiritual power, Brahmtej. As no one can stand before Yamraj, no one can now stand before Bali Maharaj. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Vijay Mataji. Would you like to add any points or understanding from this verse?
You can explain, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So one important point is the enthusiasm, the vigor we are seeing in Bali Maharaj. It's called Brahma Tejas here, and so it's coming from it's a spiritual power, not any material power, and we know that the spiritual power is transcendental to anything material. So nobody in the material realm can counteract the spiritual power. So that's what Bali Maharaj is having, and Brahaspati is giving good advice to his disciple Indra that Bali Maharaj cannot be conquered because he has this Brahma Tejas, and at this time he's standing like Yamaraj, and we all know Yamaraj. If he decides to take someone, then nobody can stop that jiva from going out of the body, right? Not even a single breath one person can get more if Yamaraj is there to take that person. So similarly, Bali Maharaj here, since he has come for war, he's standing like Yamaraj, and there's no point fighting, doing anything. Once the soul leaves the body, there's nothing you can do to the body to revive the body. So similarly, here Brahaspati is telling that Bali Maharaj is invincible at war at this point because of the spiritual power. Anybody would like to add any points on this verse? Okay, looks like we are at time. And we'll conclude here. Any points before we close the call?
You explained very nicely, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you everyone for joining. It's a Friday night and everybody chose to read Bhagavatam, which is a blessing for everyone to have devotee association. Vancha kalpatarubhascha vasundipyevacha Yanam
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thanks very much. Hare Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.